looks to the right, throws it for a wide open Bennett. Touchdown, Patriots! Touchdown, Bennett! His second of the day from Tom Brady.
What a play by Tom Brady.
Just like old times.
Hey, you can't beat him, join him. People worry about the rust, the timing. There's no issues, man. This is like game 8 for him.
So that would be rusty, Tom. Brady steps in, puts up a cool 400-plus yard performance on the road in the land. We heard number 12 to 88 3 times Sunday in Brady's first game ever with Martellus Bennett. They connected 3 times for scores as the Pats thumped the Browns 33-13 on Sunday. Right, Clark in the house. Good day. How we doing?
What's up, guys? How are you?
What's up? What's up, man?
Ain't nothing, man.
What's up?
I'm chilling.
Interesting tie.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
listen.
would you please leave him alone?
You know what I love? I just do love.
I just said it's interesting. That's all I said.
No.
But here's the
Why we
thing.
getting all sensitive for? I just said it was interesting.
Nobody's
Interesting,
sensitive. You know why? Because y'all feel something every time I come on, though.
Okay.
You feel something.
I've been
And
with
that's
you
what it's
so
about.
far until today.
What you don't want is for people to be lukewarm about you.
Yeah.
You want them to have a feeling every time you come on set.
Yes,
Every
sir.
time I come on set,
Yes,
two
sir.
of the most important guys on this network have a feeling.
It's a good point, Stephen A.
Fashion
go
is
with
an
it for now.
expression of who you are.
We'll go
It's
with
all
it.
subjective.
We'll go with it for now. Let's go.
Let's start with you, Max.
Yeah.
Who's going to stop the 4-1 Pats from running the table?
First of all, let me say, when I say Tom Brady's falling off a cliff, this is the point. It's a cliff. It comes without warning. Right off. Until then, there are no signs of deterioration. That's what the studies have shown. That's why at 40 years and around 6 months, no one really makes it to 41. Warren Moon for one season kind of coming off a bench. But it looks like they're going to go on forever. Peyton Manning, 55 touchdowns. Peyton Manning is going to do it again. There's no sign. Boom. So, I mean, I started Tom Brady in my daily fantasy yesterday.
History,
Against-
but you have no evidence for what you are saying whatsoever. You have seen
Did
nothing.
you just say history?
History.
In other words,
History has been
evidence,
defined
evidence,
from time to
evidence,
time.
but I have no evidence.
History has been defined from time to time.
Okay. That's true, from time to time. Yeah, he'll be the first one ever, apparently. The point is, against the Browns, you knew this was going to happen. Tom Brady coming back, Stephen A. was talking about, everyone was talking about it. Chip on his shoulder, chips on his fingers. I mean, you know, like he's chipped up and he was going to want to prove it again. And he's going up against one of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, certainly they're in the conversation. Maybe they are the worst team in the NFL, the Browns. Certainly no RG3, no quarterback now even who maybe could do something, not a good defense. Of course he was going to go crazy. Bennett, by the way. Are we in the Bennett era at tight end in New England? I mean, he could do everything. I was sorry the Giants let him go, but he wanted a lot of money. They are they're so well balanced. The linebackers, Hightower and Collins and special teams, and just name a facet of the game. You're like, yeah, they're good at it.
Oh, go ahead.
The defensive backs are good. Everybody's good on that
Everybody's
team.
good.
Here's the problem. Let's look at their schedule here. They got a Bengals team that's going to be getting desperate. They're going to play them in New England. Then they got at Pittsburgh.
Right.
At Bills, and they're going to look for revenge against the Bills. But by the way, the Bills are good. That's not like they've been playing well. They got the Seahawks at home. That's a good team. They'll beat the Niners. They got the Jets twice. They should beat them twice, but still a divisional game. The Rams have shown you their defense could be good. You like them over the Rams. They got the. I look at it like this. Here are their tough games. Between Denver and Pittsburgh on the road and Seattle at home, they will certainly lose one of those games. And then between the Bengals at home, the Ravens at home, and the Bills on the road, that's another loss. I see at least two. This team is so good that when you're like, they might have 3 losses. Oh, no, they won't. Yeah, they might. They might have 3 or 4 losses this year. They're certainly not going to run the table. They ain't getting to week 17 without at least another loss. But I see 2 and maybe 3 other losses for the Patriots.
I see 2. And to me, you know, whether it's Pittsburgh, Seattle, Denver, I think they lose 2 of those 3 games. I can see the New England Patriots going 14-2. I would have been inclined to believe that there would have definitely been a split between them and the Jets, but I don't like what I'm seeing from the Jets right now at all. So I would go with those 2 losses, but that's about it. I don't see it anywhere else. I mean, if they're going to lose a home game, it'll be to Seattle. That's about it. And maybe a road game at Pittsburgh or at Denver. But I don't see them losing to Pittsburgh and Denver on the road. I see them beating one of those teams, losing to the other, and possibly Seattle at home. That's where I get my 2 losses from.
So if you look at the New England Patriots, if we're going to go best teams in the AFC right now, we would agree they're number one.
They're number one.
They're the best team. But what they were able to do.
I'd say the Broncos with Simeon are the best team in the NFL.
Okay.
In the AFC.
I'm with the Patriots.
So right now, if you look at that, you're saying Broncos with Simeon, New England Patriots, right? But the next 4 games, you said Bengals, at Steelers, at Bills, at Seahawks. They don't get out of that without a loss. And I'm not necessarily saying which team will beat them. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers at Pittsburgh have a chance. You have the best back in football. He's playing like it right now. You can't stop him passing or running the football.
That secondary against Brady, which you never bring up. You never bring up the Steelers secondary.
First of all, listen, I got beat by Tom Brady on numerous occasions, and we were really good on defense. Tom Brady can play football. Whether or not he's going to fall off the cliff, I don't know. But right now, it's smooth sailing on top of the cliff. But we also have to remember, 2 years ago, we were saying people were calling for the Jimmy Garoppolo era to start because he stunk it up in Kansas City on primetime. So it happens. Even when you're at the top of your game, sometimes
I have no recollection of anyone calling for the Jimmy Garoppolo era.
What?
Early last year.
Just because of the Kansas City game?
You don't remember that?
I don't recall that at all. I remember that it was an embarrassing performance, but it was one game.
It must have been one of those times you was remote. That's what it must have been. You must have been remote.
Yeah.
You might have been remote. I know a lot goes on the road. So the way I see it, they don't get past November 13th without a loss. They're going to get a loss within that time. Not necessarily because one team plays great one day. Sometimes it's an accumulation of the teams you have to play back to back to back. You go on the road to the Steelers. You play a very physical Bills team, and then you have to come home and play the Seattle Seahawks. That's how you catch L's in this league sometimes. It's not necessarily that one team is better that day. So I feel like they get a loss before November 13th. And we're discounting the Jets, and I know they look bad. And, heck, the Miami Dolphins are terrible, too. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots have a tough time going to Miami. It's the last game of the season. Do they win that one? So this team, the way I see it, they lose 2 or 3 games more as the season goes along. But I also feel like that's enough to be maybe the number 1 seed, at least the number 2. This is the team that's going to contend for a Super Bowl. I think the true testament is, or the true telling factor is, we're debating whether or not they're going to lose, period. That tells you how well coached this team is, how good Tom Brady looked yesterday. And to your point about Martellus Bennett, this is what we were waiting on, right? When they signed him, we said in the offseason, oh, my goodness, this 2-headed tight end monster is back. Don't forget, Gronk had over 100 yards yesterday, too. This team will be tough to stop, but the accumulation of the teams they have to play and the target that is always on the New England Patriots' back, they're going to lose some games.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, they end up with 3 losses because obviously they lost the game already. I'm talking about Tom Brady and the 2 losses that I think are going to happen on him. My thing is that I think it's clear they're the number 1 team in the AFC. I believe, you know, even though Trevor Siemian may be a bit better than Paxton Lynch at this point, I'm seeing some holes in Denver that nobody has brought up. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. But an ability to run the football on Denver, if you can avoid having to contend with that secondary and force their upfront dudes to have to deal with you in your running game, which a team like the Steelers could do, which the Patriots could potentially do with LeGarrette Blount, I think it becomes very, very interesting in terms of what could potentially happen
They'll
at
have
Denver.
their shot week 15 at Denver, the Patriots. Here's the thing about the NFL that doesn't apply as much to the Patriots. You got to be a little careful about when making these predictions, looking at the schedule. Because I'm with you guys. You don't know the exact game they're going to lose, but you could take a group of 3 games and say they're going to lose one of those, a group of another. They're going to lose one of those. Home game or road game, tough team with a rivalry game, whatever. Usually in the NFL, teams have at least 1 loss against teams they're supposed to beat, even the good ones, and at least 1 win against the team they're supposed to lose to. The problem is the Patriots are never really supposed to lose.
Right.
And the difference between the Patriots, and the reason I've been arguing on this show that Bill Belichick is, in fact, the greatest coach in the history of American team sports, I'm not including hockey, which is really more Canadian. I'm talking about baseball, basketball, football, is because in an era of parity, where it's really difficult to exploit the system the way it once was, pay certain guys, monopolize talent in other ways, Bill Belichick manages to very rarely lose to the teams he's supposed to beat. I mean, they beat the teams they're supposed to beat. And because they're always a juggernaut, they're rarely supposed to lose. They don't have a lot of letdowns. They don't have too many games where you look and you go, boy, the Patriots really underperformed. They slept on that team.
Right.
It's why Bill Belichick, when you ask him anything, says, we're focused on the Cleveland Browns, it was last week. he keeps those guys focused and very little letdown.
Yeah, but you just finished saying they're not your number one is Denver.
Yep.
So what's all of that about?
Well, they lost to Denver last year in the playoffs.
You sound like you agree with me and Ryan.
They lost to,
Which one is?
Just because they're excellent doesn't mean they're the absolute best every year.
But
they are among the best every year.
But I'm not challenging that. I'm saying you just gave us a long soliloquy about the greatness of Bill Belichick while telling us we wrong that Denver's the number one team.
Right. None of those things are inconsistent. They lost to Denver in the playoffs last year. I believe with Simeon on the field, they're better than they were last year. The Broncos are. And so I think without Simeon, they just lost the game.
I'm coming to this conclusion with you.
I'm
coming to this conclusion with you. What? For the record.
Yeah.
Is Denver the number one team in the AFC? Yes or no?
I said yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
I said there's never been any wavering.
I'm just saying to you that I forgot because of how you were bloviating about Bill Belichick.
So in other words, because I think Denver's the best team now, I'm not allowed to think.
No.
Hey, Molly, I'm gonna go to the side.
Right, it's good
Y'all
to
do
see
what y'all do. I'm gonna holler at y'all later.
I'm just telling you that you had the way you were raving about Bill Belichick. I forgot that you said what you said about that. That's what I'm trying to say.
And he said that first.
Ryan is saying.
Did you remember?
Did you remember?
I barely remembered, but that's all right. Go ahead.
All right.